Hello all, welcome to the 7th chapter of Building a Web Application. In this chapter, we will learn how to build web forms, store and retrieve data from DB using Django models, views and templates. In the previous chapter, we designed a nice-looking home page. But the home page contained only static content, which were defined in HTML. This page is great to show fixed content for information purposes. But now, we need to build a dynamic web page to register a reader, which can take some input details from user and store them in database, and also get the details available in database and show in UI. Django offers model, view, template to build interactive web applications. Models are used to define the data model of our database to store the records. Views will contain the programming logic to handle the incoming requests, get the data from the model and render the HTML template, whereas the template will be the UI design present in HTML files. We will design the models in the models.py file using classes. Each class will represent a table, and the properties of the class will represent the columns present in the table. As you know already, views will be defined in the views.py file, and it will contain the coding logic to get the data from the model and give to the HTML. Finally, we will design our templates in HTML using web forms with input text boxes and buttons to get the input from the user. Also, our HTML will contain web tables to show the records from DB and pop-ups as well. Let's go to our demo application and see the Readers tab. To develop our Readers tab, we will start with building our model for reader. In this tab, we will have a form with few text boxes to register new readers. Then, we will have a table to show the registered readers. We need to get all the required information for the reader and stored in the DB, such as name, contact, reference ID, address and also an active flag, to determine whether the reader is active or inactive. In this information, reader ID is the auto-generated number, whereas name, contact, reference ID, and address are provided by the user. Let's go to our project and create our first model for the reader. Here, we will be writing our models as specified in the Django documentation. For the reader table, we will write class space reader. This class will represent the reader table, as each class in models.py file will be a table in the database. Next, within brackets, models.model. Because the class reader will inherit the base class models.model which is provided by Django. Any class in models.py file inheriting models.model will be created as a table in the SQLite database. Next, for each field in reader form, we will be adding the properties in this reader class. The first property we will add is reference_ID, which is a text field. For this field, we need to define the type and length. So, we will write it as reference_ID equals models.char field, which is the data type, followed by the field length given as, within brackets, max length equals 200. So, this field can store up to 200 characters. Next, for the reader name, we are writing reader_name equals models.char field, within brackets, max length equals to 200. And next, we will repeat the same for reader contact. Next, we will add a property for reader address field. But there is a difference for address. We do not want to define a max length for this field. So, we will define this as a text field as this data type doesn't require a max length. Finally, we will define the property active, which is a Boolean field with the default value as true. So, we will write it as models.boolean field, within brackets, default equals true. Now, we have the data model created for readers table. When we run the model creation command, a table will be created in the SQLite database with name as readers. And the table will have columns, reference ID, reader name, reader contact, reader address, and active. As mentioned before, SQLite is the database we are using. So, this table will get created in the db.sqlite3 file. We can go to djangoproject.com and read the documentation further to know how to execute this model creation and get the table created. Under the Create Model section, we see the sample code for few models. But we have already finished this. Next, we have to activate our model. Model activation is equivalent to table creation. But it is a two-step process. First, we will copy this Make Migrations line to our project terminal and paste it. Here, we will rename the app as limbs_app and press Enter. This will prepare the models for execution. Let's go back to the documentation for next step. As shown here, we need to run the migrate command to execute the models. Now the model is created and our reader table is set up in our database. Next, we need to register this model in the admin.py file so that we can easily manage the reader data through Django admin screen. Let's go back to the documentation to understand how to create an admin user. To create admin user, we will copy the create super user command from the documentation and paste it in our terminal. We will leave the username blank as it will use the current logged on username by default. Let's enter our email address for the user. Then we will set the password for this username. Let's re-enter the password for our username. Django validates the password and warns us if it finds any issues. Now, the admin user is created successfully. Let's start our application now. Now let's go to the Django admin URL, which will end with /admin. We will use the same username and password, which we just created. Now we are logged on to admin site, and we can see groups and users, which are the default models in Django. Next, let's go back to the documentation and see the sample code for model registration. Now, to register our reader model in the admin page, we will go to the admin.py file and write similar lines of code. In the admin.py file, first we will type from /models /import *. This will import all the models for registration in admin page. Next, we will write admin.site.register within brackets reader. Reader is our model, which we have created in the models.py file. We are registering the reader model in the admin page by using this line. Let's restart the app and go to our admin page and refresh it. We have the reader's model displayed in the admin page, and when clicked on it, there are no records present. If we click on Add Reader button, the fields for entering the reader information is displayed. To create a new reader, I can enter the details like the reader reference ID, reader name, reader contact, and reader address. Note that the active field is displayed as a checkbox. Clicking on Save button, the reader info is saved into the model. It is showing a record as reader object, and if I click on it, I can see the details of the reader. But the reader name is not displayed in the list view. Instead, it shows reader_object. Let's go to the models.py file. And under the class reader, we will add a new function, __str___. And inside this function, we will write return space self dot reader name. Let's save and rerun our app. Now, if we refresh our page, we can see the reader name Steve displayed in the list view. This is because the list view calls the __str___ function. As we are returning the name from that function, it gets displayed in the list view. In the same way, we can return any property to show in the list view, but only as a string. Though Django provides the screens for managing the models and entering the details into the models, we want to build our own HTML pages with designs similar to what we see in the demo website. Also, we don't want the users to go to the admin page every time just to manage the data. To provide the users ability to store data into the models, we will build the forms in our web page. So, let's work on that. So far, we have created the models and have the admin pages configured as well. Now that we have designed the model for reader, let's go to views.py file and write a basic view function. As we can see in the web page, we have two functionalities. First, we need to register a new reader. Next, we need to show the existing readers in the Readers tab along with the search functionality. We will do a lot of work in HTML. But first let's go to views.py file and write a function readers_tab. Here, we will write readers equals reader dot objects dot all. But Python doesn't know what is reader here. So, we need to add an import statement to import all the models into the views. For that, we will go to the top and update the import statement as from dot models import star. This means we will import all the models from the models.py file into the views.py. We have just created a readers object which will contain all the readers details. Next, we will add a return statement with render function to render readers.html. In this return statement, we will add the context with two items in it. First one is current_tab with value as readers. Next, we will add an item with key as readers and value as readers. Here, the value readers is the DB query set object with all the readers in it. Now, this function will return the list of readers to the HTML. With this list of readers, we can show them as table in HTML or just the count. To design the Readers tab, similar to our demo web page, we will use the Bootstrap container flex grids with multiple rows and columns. In the first column, we will have the reader registration form. And in the second column, we will have the reader details being displayed. To learn more details on container flex grids, you can go to the getbootstrap.com website. Now, to create a flex grid, we will add a div with class container flex text center space justify content center space align item center. So, this is going to be the main container, which will come in the Readers tab. We will be adding some style properties as well soon. Within this container, we will be adding rows. First row will contain the headers. Let's add a div with class row and justify content center, align middle, and the style attribute. Within this div, we will be adding our first column by adding a div with the class as call-md4 and textlight. Call md4 means 30% of the container width will be allocated to the column. Within this column, we will add the header text, register new reader. If we go to our web page and refresh it, we see the header displayed now. But it is in the center, as we have just one column, and background color needs to be changed too. Let's set the header background color similar to what we have in the demo web page. Let's go and check it out. Now it looks better. But when compared with our demo page, we need to add some space above and below the header, and increase the height as well. Let's increase the height of the row, and add some space above the header by setting the margin top property, and set the height property. Let's go and check it out. If we compare our page with the demo page, there is some more space required above the header. So, we will add some padding to the container flex as well for some extra space in the top. Now it looks better, but we need to get the register reader column to the left side. This is because we have one column only for now. When we add additional columns, it will move to the left. We can get it done by adding a second column in our first row to show search reader's header. We will add a div for second column with class call MD8 as we want to give 70% of the space to the second column. Then, we will add the header search readers inside this column div. Now, if we check our web page, we have the register new reader section on the left side and search readers on the right with 30:70 ratio. But the register new reader header is middle aligned in demo page whereas it is top aligned in ours. So, let's update the style property margin top to 15 px in the header. Let's go and check it out. Now the header looks similar to the demo page. We are done with the first row now. Next we need to add the form fields for register new reader. We will add this form in the first column of a new row. Let's add the div for second row with class as row inside the flex container. Inside the div for row, we will add the div for call with class set as call MD4. Because we want to keep it 30% width of the container, similar to the header. Next, we will add a div with class container. Inside this div, we will add a form tag with class dflex, action attribute, and method as post. In the action attribute, we will give the post URL soon. To understand more on the form tag, please refer to our earlier chapters. Next, we will add the CSRF token. This is required by Django to protect from cross-site request forgery. Now, we need to create a table with rows for each field. We will add a table tag with class as table. Inside the table, we will add rows with 2 cells in each row, one for the label and the other for input field. Next, we will add some styling to the container for background color, height, and showing vertical scroll bar. Let's check our web page to see how it looks. Now the background color is changed and we can visually see the container. Next, we will add a TR tag inside the table. Note that we don't have any column headers in the table. Inside the TR tag, we will add 2 TD tags, one for the label and other for input field. Inside the first TD tag, we will add label as name. Let's check our web page to see how it looks. We can see the row added with a cell for name. Let's add the second TD tag with an input tag inside it, with type as text, class as form control, and name as reader name. Now, if we check our web page, the input text box is added next to the label. If we see our demo web page, it has better alignment and spacing. Let's add style to the first cell, to middle align the label inside the cell. Let's check our web page to see how it looks. Now the alignment is better. But, If we see the demo web page, it has space around the rows, which is not present in our web page. So, we need to add some space above the table. We will add the margin top property to the table tag style attribute. Let's check our web page to see how it looks. Now the spacing is good. We will repeat the above for rest of the fields by adding tr and td tags. Let's check our web page to see how it looks. Now we have all the fields displayed as expected in our web page. Also, as you can see, the address field is displayed as a larger adjustable text box, since we have used text area tag for this. Next, we need to add the save button. Let's add it by following the same steps. First, add a tr tag, and inside that, add a td tag. In this td tag, we will set call span as 2 to make the cell span for 2 columns. Next, we will add the button tag with type as submit. We will set the button class as btn and btn primary to get a nice blue button provided by Bootstrap. Inside the button tag, we will give the caption save. Button type submit tells HTML to submit the form data. As we taught in the previous sessions, when user clicks on this button, form data will be submitted to the URL given in action attribute of the form tag. Let's check our web page to see how it looks. Now, we see the save button aligned in the center. Next, we will add the bullet points below form as shown in the demo web page. Let's add a new UL tag outside the form tag. Remember, UL tag is for unordered list. Inside the UL tag, we will add li tag for each point. If we check our web page after adding all the points in HTML, we see the points displayed with bullets. However, they are center aligned. To left align them, we will add the style property to UL tag. Let's check our web page to see how it looks. Now, we have the form with all the fields, save button and bulleted points. Oops, I just missed to update the last point. Let's update the last point as well, to match with our demo page. Now, everything looks good. The reader registration form looks same as the demo page with all the fields and styling. Next, we need to build the HTML for right side section. We need to have a search bar, a table with list of existing readers, and also the number of subscribers below the search bar. Let's start working on our HTML. Let's add a new div with class call MD8. In this column, let's add a div for our first row. Inside this row, we will add a search bar. We can go to the Bootstrap web page and find search bar under navbar. We can refer the sample provided in the documentation for a quick start. In this sample, the form tag with role search shows the search bar in web page. We will use this in our web page within a div tag shortly. Now, in our HTML, let's add a nav tag inside the row div with class navbar and bgBodyLight. Next, inside this nav tag, let's add a div with class container fluid. We will include classes for center alignment, such as justify content center and align item center. Inside this, we will copy and paste the search control given in Bootstrap documentation. Let's check our web page to see how it looks. We see the search bar with a text box and a search button with green border. But we need a blue border instead of green. We can get it by changing the class of the button from btn outline success to btn outline primary, as primary refers to blue in Bootstrap. This will make the search similar to the demo web page. Now, the search bar is done. Next, let's add our second row, which will show the number of readers. Also, we need to add some space above this row. So, let's add margin top as 20 px. Inside this row, we will add p tag. Inside the p tag, we will include a pair of open and close braces. Inside the braces, we will have readers pipe length. In this, readers is a Django query set, which will be present in the context sent by views with key readers. Then we have the static text, readers subscribed. Readers pipe length will get us the number of readers present in the query set. Let's go to our page and refresh it. We will see the message 1 readers subscribed. Because earlier we added a reader through the admin screen. Now, let's add one more reader with some data. And if we click on Save button, we see the reader added in admin page. And our web page shows message as, to readers subscribed. So, it is able to get the count of readers as expected. Next, we need to add a table with 5 columns and show the readers' details. For this, let's add another div for third row with some space in the top. Then, let's add a div with class container inside this row. In this div, we need to apply styling to enable vertical scrolling. To do that, we will set style properties, overflow Y as auto, and height as 400 px. This will display the scroll bar if all the rows cannot be displayed within the fixed height of container. Next, we will add a table tag with class as table and table hover. In this table, we will add t-head tag. And inside the t-head tag, we'll add the tr tag for the header row. Inside the tr tag, we will add the td tag for each header in our table, such as reader ID, name, contact, reference ID, and address. If we go to our web page and check, we will see the header row displayed as expected. Now, for the rows, we will add t-body tag outside the t-head tag. Here, we will write a for loop as for reader in readers. This loop will iterate through each reader available in readers query set provided by views in the context readers. Then, when we loop through each reader in the readers query set in HTML, we can access all the attributes of the reader, such as reader ID, name, etc. Now, inside this loop, we will add a tr tag, as we want a new row for each reader. Inside the tr tag, we will add the first td tag for reader ID by specifying reader.id within double braces. Then, second cell is for reader name. But, reader name should be displayed as a green button if reader is active, or gray button if reader is inactive. So, we will add an if condition to check if reader is active. We can write it as within braces and percentage if reader.active. Let's close the if block with an end if. Inside the if block, we will add a span tag with class as btn and btn success, as Bootstrap will show a green button for btn success. Inside the span tag, we will write reader.reader_name within double braces. Next, for the inactive readers, we need to add an else block. In the else block, we will copy and paste the above span line, but with btn class as secondary, as it will show the button in gray color. In the Bootstrap documentation, we can search for button and see several styles for buttons. In the same way, we will add cells for other details of the reader, such as reader contact, reference ID, and reader address. Let's go to our web page and refresh it. We see the table with the details about the two readers. So, now we have most of the HTML work done to show existing readers, register new readers through a form and search for existing readers through a search bar. Let's add a new reader through the admin page to see how it shows up in our web page. We can enter some data for the reader details and click Save button. The new reader, Orange, is saved and displayed in our web page. Next, we will build the functionality for registering a new reader through our web page without going through admin panel, and also the search functionality and updating existing readers. To register the reader, we will be adding some code in HTML, views.py file and urls.py file. First, we will go to the Readers tab HTML file. Here, we have the web form with input fields to get reader details from user. In action attribute of form tag, we will write /readers/add. When we fill up this form and click on Save button, the details will be submitted to this URL as a post request. Now, we need to write a view function to handle this post request. Let's add a new view function, save_reader. In this function, we will create a new object, reader_item, for the model class, reader. While creating the object, we will set the values for properties of this model, such as reference ID, name, etc. Let's start with reference_ID equals request.post, as it is a post request, and within square brackets, reader_ref_ID, as that is the name of the input text box. In the same way, let's write the code to set values for other properties of this model. Finally, we will set the active attribute as true, since it is a Boolean field, and we want all the new readers to be active by default. Next, to save this reader data into database, we will write reader_item.save. Finally, we will add a return statement with redirect call to /readers. Because we want to reload the Readers tab with newly added reader data. This redirect call would go to readers_tab function, as defined in the urls.py file. We will add the URL mapping for the save reader function as readers/add. As that is the URL we have given in the form tags action attribute in the HTML. So, when the user enters the information and clicks on save, the request will come to the save_reader function, which will save the details and redirect the request to readers_tab function, which will reload the page and newly added reader will be displayed in screen. Now, we need to restart our application for the changes to reflect. Let's go to our web page and refresh it. Now, let's enter a new reader in the form with details such as name, contact, address, reference ID and click on Save button. The new reader is saved and the details are displayed in the grid. We can add any number of readers in the same way and they will saved and displayed in the screen. Next, if we go to the admin page, we can see the reader details available there as well. If we click on the name, we can see the reader details as entered. So, we have just learned how to save reader details and implemented it in our web page. Next, we will learn about the search and edit functionality in the next chapter. Thanks for watching. To continue learning with us, like, share and subscribe to our channel.